Welcome to another episode of the Awake Space Astrology Podcast. I'm Lori Rivers, your host. Mercury is retrograde. That's true. It's not really much to freak out about. It's inconveniences, it's foibles, it's mishaps, misspokenness, tech glitches. All the heavy stuff is some other aspects in the sky. We had some pretty big lunar transits over the last couple of days, and we've got a couple of days more, and we enter October, a month I've been warning about almost all year long. Now, I know my people are prepared, my patrons as prepared as they can be. And the people who've been watching me on TikTok, it's really, really gratifying to hear people saying, hey, I got extra. I saw what you were saying about the supply chain, and I took care of stuff. I didn't hoard. I love how many people are saying, I didn't hoard, and I love that. Just mindful preparation, being mindful. The more mindful we can be, the better off we are. Now I can make a scary podcast full of all kinds of dire warnings, or I could give you a little bit of hope. And I think that's how we're going to start October, with a little bit of hope and a reminder that the most radical thing you can do, if you want to take down the patriarchy, it's love yourself, because no one can control you if you know your value. I wanted to remind you that the most radical thing you could do was love yourself, because I've read thousands and thousands of astrological charts. Natal charts, predictive charts, future charts, past charts. And I've studied the human condition, governments, politics, economics, how humans interact and communicate. I've made it my business to understand life as a human being. And the one thing I know is that no one can control you when you love yourself. It just can't be done. The only way you can be controlled is to erode your sense of self, to make you feel insecure, to provoke reactivity, either fear or anger. And by understanding your own consciousness and being as mindful and loving to yourself as possible, and it's not always easy. I'm not saying you have to be a saint. That's not the point. The point is understanding your value. That's my favorite thing about being a natal astrologer. Oh yeah, it's fancy to give predictions and give people heads up. It's a service. But man, when I get to sit down with you and explain you to you, translate you to you, help you make sense of the timing in your life, and help you understand how well your soul prepared you for being in this very dense, often conflict-filled reality. And you know, neuroscience has proved that we shape our realities through our perceptions. Something metaphysicians have been saying for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, spirituality and religion are different. Almost every single religion likes to remind you of how flawed you are. That's no coincidence, because all of the religions were created by human beings, trying to translate an understanding of something bigger than us, the cosmos, the universe, life, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. Remember, I don't care what you believe as long as you know what you believe and why you believe it. Whatever your beliefs are, they're yours. I don't ask that you believe what I believe. Well, it'd be nice because I believe in love. I really do. I believe in love. And love isn't hearts and flowers or romance or sex. Not even really good sex. Not even the really super spicy, leg-popping kind. And who doesn't like that? Well, if you're ace, you don't like it. And it's okay to be ace. And if you don't know what ace means, it means asexual. But for those of us who do enjoy it, it's still not love. Love is acceptance. Love is just being okay with who you are. Understanding that you matter. Understanding that you are here for a reason. And that reason isn't just suffering. Even in Buddhism, they talk about the relief of suffering. The Dalai Lama spent a lot of time speaking about becoming happy and understanding happiness. Because it is fleeting, it comes and goes, but the more you can find some kind of happy, the more encouraging life is. The more you gain awareness of your value and your purpose here on the planet, which often isn't to sacrifice yourself for some greater cause. It really can be just knowing that your atomic structure that makes up your material self transmits a specific frequency that's necessary for this moment in time, in this space. When you go to the atomic level, everything is connected. Everything. The rocks, the trees, the buildings, the cars, the animals, the stars. And it's from there that it all makes sense. In the minutia, in the little itty-bitty zips and zaps of particles and quarks and neutrinos. It's only when we look from the meta picture, when we look at the big picture and we try to find our scope in it, and we're like confused. You have a sense of something, you're here for a reason, you can't figure out for the life of you what it is. And we're all taught, if you want to be great, you've got to be like Jesus or Buddha, Muhammad, Joan of Arc, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Gloria Steinem. He was some chosen one, some one person leading the charge. But that's not the point, and it never was the point. And if you listen to every single world teacher, not one of them said, follow me, I'm the only one who knows this stuff. If you actually read it yourself, you'll see they were encouraging you to know your connection to the all that is. Thank you, Wesley. That's our miniature American bully. He's a little bit of a whiner. We are all here now for a purpose, and it is not to suffer. And it is not to blip off the planet or have the planet split into two. Every single person has a purpose. And it's easy to forget what it is. It's easy to think we have to do something special instead of understanding that our very existence is special, that we had a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being born a human on planet Earth. How freaking special is that? And I know you don't feel special much, or it's hard. You might have inklings of it and then get frustrated because you don't measure up to some arbitrary standard of perfection imposed by someone else, someone long forgotten. And I can guarantee you it wasn't some kind of deity. Deities don't care about that stuff. Well, maybe some do. But I don't hold truck with any deity that's that petty. Because they're not really a deity, they're just a thought form that's been empowered. We have a lot coming up in October, and it's going to rock a lot of people's worlds. If you've been a listener of mine for any time or watched me on TikTok, then you're well prepared. If you're new, welcome. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with astrology? Everything, my friends. Everything. Translating the astrologicalese into practicum, that's my job. To turn all those symbols and squiggles and lines into comprehensive data that tells a story and a narrative that makes sense to you, whether I'm explaining you to you through your astrological chart, or I'm explaining the energy of what is. There's a lot more change coming. And the only way we make change that works for us as a global population is to first love yourself. Get to know yourself. Cicero said it, know thyself and to thine own self be true. It's not a biblical quote, it was Cicero. Know thyself. It's an axiom I've followed to the letter as much as I could. And you never get to the end of you. You're a very complex being. You really are. You have flaws and dimples and wrinkles and freckles and warts and toenails and boogers and farts, and all of it makes you you. Delightfully so. You have trauma and pain and grief. You have peak experiences where you felt hope, joy, love, acceptance, peace, even if it was for just a heartbeat. A time where you saw a sunset or a sunrise, where you heard some mysterious bird with a beautiful call, or you listened to the crickets on a warm autumn night. Can you hear the crickets? I love that sound. The sound of crickets on a warm evening reminds me of sitting on the porch with my great-grandma, cuddled up in a chair, with her telling me stories of what it was like to be a little girl at the turn of the 20th century. Like the time she saw the first car that came to their area in Nebraska. It made such a ruckus miles away, and it kicked up dust. She thought it was a dragon. It was 1906. She'd never seen one before. Imagine a world so quiet that you could hear a beast, a mechanical beast, coming down the road. That's what crickets remind me of. She was a Capricorn. She was loving and nurturing and kind. Although when she was young, she was pretty controlling. She'd learned from all of her mistakes, all of her losses, by the time I came around. It was easy to be gentle with me, because she'd already paid the price of not being gentle with other people. And she shared that wisdom with me, hoping that my life would be easier and kinder and more gentle than hers had been. And I hope that your life is easier and kinder and gentler than mine has been. That should be all our hope. If we've suffered, we shouldn't hope for suffering for other people so they understand how we feel. We should try to alleviate our own suffering and hope other people never have to experience it in the same way. I don't understand any other kind of thinking. It's a funny thing. Not that I haven't ever wanted vengeance. You can go back and listen to my podcast. I've talked about it. But the older I've gotten, the more I understood how much my great-grandmother was right. The only way through things is through it. And the only answer we have is love. Just seeing people for who they are. Not seeing them for their wounds. That pity doesn't really help anybody. But accepting them as capable. That they matter. That they have significance. And showing them the influence they have over their life and others. Well, that's how we change the world, isn't it? Astrologically, look to your Venus. Your Venus is what you need, like oxygen. It's how you attract what you need to you. But it's really how you feel loved. And if you're not giving yourself that kind of energy, then it's hard to get it anywhere else. They're always going to fall short. Look to your second house. It's the house of actual love, of acceptance, of security, self-worth, and self-esteem. And in our very consumerist age, we have equated self-worth with our possessions, with our titles and positions, and wondered why so many people are depressed. And it has nothing to do with it. Oh, sure, we like collecting things, but when we collect things, they're representations of who we think we are. And yet, billions and billions of dollars are spent on telling you what to want. And that's why people buy a lot of stuff, because it's not in alignment with what they really, really need. And it's not just food, water, and shelter. For some people, it's about understanding themselves and being self-reliant. And for other people, it's coziness and security and good smells and feeling safe, really safe. Some people, it's all about communication and options. Other people, it is a sense of belonging, a sense of being connected. Other people, it is a sense of really shining and generosity, being able to be generous and spread love around and share and bring people together. And other people, it's about meticulous care and order. They feel safe in order. And others look for mutuality and collaboration. They look for a way to be creative with others. And some people, need things to be transformational and soul deep, a repurposing, a repatterning, a remaking, a refashioning. They need that to feel secure. They need a soul deep love and connection. And other people just need adventure and knowledge and acquisition of experiences in order to feel secure, to know they're always, always growing. Other people need very tangible, real, solid security. Proof that it's real. Like real estate, and houses, and gold, and tangible items that they can smell and feel and touch, because everything was too illusory when they were young. Other people yet like gadgets and need innovation or working in community. They need to know that their resources go to a bigger purpose. And other people yet need to feel so deeply connected, like boundless connectivity. They have to be soul connected to whatever it is that brings things in. They need to feel safe in a sanctuary kind of way, in a sacred, safe kind of way. That's your second house. I went through the signs, see if you can figure out which ones were which. I tried to use keywords. Students of mine, let me know in the Discord. In the Astro Guide, that's the ultimate cheat sheet, which is up on my shop in my store at wokeastrology.com. I give the story of the houses. And it's a beautiful story because it's the unfolding of human consciousness, house by house, the building of awareness, the unfolding of each step on the spiral of life, because it's not a straight line, guys. It's like a spiral. We go 1 through 12 in a spiral over and over and over again, from that first bit of self-awareness, finding our security, going to communicate, moving through to feeling connected with other or having a home base, into risking ourselves through creation, through the making of things, to serving, doing things for the daily bread, making sure we watch our health and the health of other people because we are intrinsically connected, to finding partnership and collaboration and where we give our commitment, to how we transform through powerful emotions and the sharing of resources, to expansion, whether it's foreign travel, understanding, debating, learning, to our calling, to where our power is in the world, to how we deal with authority figures and how they deal with us, and how people see us in our own authority, and our networks and our communities and the wider community, and the people we tap for inspiration, and the people who come to us in community. And then into the great womb of our subconscious, where we grow, where we deal with our fears, where we fight our demons, where we connect with our angels, and where we gestate a new understanding of self before we pop back up into the first house on another rung of the spiral. When you can look at human consciousness like that, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful, miraculous thing. And we are. So many of us haven't been taught how to access our consciousness. And that's why I teach it. Because it's your birthright. It isn't about being smart. It's about being as self-aware as you can be. And the more self-aware and self-actualized you are, the better able you are to work collaboratively with others. I'd love to reach millions of people, and I'm okay if I'm just talking to you. Because even just a handful of people who understand this, just a handful, it's all it takes to help shift the trajectory of human consciousness. It doesn't take a lot. So remember that as things look like they're starting to fall apart in October, and as the energy picks up speed because the roller coaster is about to go vertical in a dive. It's mostly the economy. But there's stuff with COVID coming too. I had some confirmation of my suspicions on the astrology today. I don't want to talk about it in this podcast though. So just promise me you wear your mask. Because I want you to be as healthy as you can be. And you don't even want a silly cold. Why would you want that? Just because everybody else is getting complacent doesn't mean you need to be. So, this is your reminder to love yourself as the moon is in Leo. And it is opposite Saturn in Aquarius. And I thought, how can we crush patriarchy today? And the answer is, and always will be, love yourself. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about the astrology of October, especially the new moon on October 6th. It's very important information. I'm going to talk about how you can get clear if you don't know how to get clear, okay, about setting intentions, because that new moon is some pretty amazing energy. The energy of October is pretty intense stuff. Like, just one of the transpersonal planets stationing direct is big energy. But we've got Pluto on the 6th. We've got Saturn on the 8th, which is tertiary. Just for those of you who've been studying. And the other tertiary planet, Jupiter, stationing direct on the 18th. That alone says October is one hell of a month. That's a lot of big energy changing direction. And when planets station, which means it appears they stand still in the sky, it is reflective of a big burst of energy in the collective. It's why I always try to explain the difference between the collective energy and the personal energy. Because just because everybody's jumping off a bridge doesn't mean you have to, says Mama. You have the ability to govern your own consciousness. And even if it means you count to 10 before you react, you're ahead of the game of the people who don't count at all. And if you can count to 10 and not react and take a moment to consider what you're going to do instead of being dragged down into a stream of energy you don't want to go down, where you're very reactive and you alienate people or push people that love you away or get into arguments that don't matter where you choose to feel insulted over things that don't matter, where you choose to feel hurt over things that honestly don't have a whole lot to do with you personally. Like when we collectively find outrage, if there's no consequence to it, if it's just explosion of energy that goes nowhere, then you're robbing yourself of the present moment where you can take deliberate action over something and make a difference. And that is why the media uses emotional manipulation all the time. It renders you impotent. It's October 1st. We have 5 days until the new moon. And that new moon on October 6th happens 2 hours before Pluto stations direct. That is significant because this new moon is paired up with Mars. It's all in Libra. Libra is about striking the balance. It's not about being balanced itself. People with Libra energy are here to learn balance. They crave balance. They seek mutuality. They seek balance. They often swing side to side. It's the weighing and the balancing. And if you've ever used measuring scales, like in a science class, old school, not digital, but just the old ones where you use the weights, and you probably don't learn those things anymore, and probably haven't for a long time. It's kind of hard to make those balance without exact weighing and measuring of things. That's why people will say Libras are indecisive. I have a Libra moon. And until I experience things, until I really feel into it all, until I look through the options and know what I'm weighing against, it's hard for me to make a decision. If it's a personal decision, like when I left my marriage, my second marriage, I agonized over that decision. I thought about how it would affect my kids. I thought about my in-laws. I thought about my friends, my community, the people around me. I thought about my ex. I thought about everybody except me for a long time, and about what my decision would mean and what it would do. And the longer I considered the effects on everybody else, the more stress and strain I put on myself. And eventually, when I was looking at how it would impact everybody, I had to look at me as part of the everybody picture. And it was physically uncomfortable. It wasn't just a mild amount of stress. It was just physical to be in that indecisive space. I want to leave. I want to go live my life. I want to take care of myself. I want to be independent. But I don't want to look like that bitch. And I did my best to make it amicable. But at the end, I had to just do what was right and fair for the life I'm living, which is my life. And that's a very hard decision for a Libra to make, but to realize that you are part of everyone. And the scales were difficult to balance. And when I realized that what I needed for those scales to be balanced wasn't coming, and the scales would never be balanced, that's when that decision became easier to make. It was still a tough one, but once I made it, of course, there was release. That's the kind of energy we deal with in Libra. Libras don't like conflict because it means picking a side. Like I love it when people say, what's your favorite planet? What's your favorite sign? What's your favorite aspect? And I'm like, I don't have favorites. I have a Libra moon. I don't have favorites. I love each one for their individual selves. They're all equal to me. I don't have favorites. Even in my prior relationships, I can say I don't have a favorite. I love each person for who they are, whether it's a friend or a lover or my kids. I love who they are as individuals. I don't measure them against each other because that wouldn't be fair. I don't measure you against anybody else either. I love you just the way you are, just for who you are. You're remarkable as an individual. And not every Libra gets to that space. Not everybody with Libra energy gets to that space, but almost every Libra will identify with that sentiment. Like, don't make me pick a favorite color. It just depends on what it's for. It's 111 in the morning. The crickets are still going. And I'm looking at Jupiter. I've been looking at Jupiter a lot. Going, come on, Jupiter. You have to go direct. That'll be good. Be good to have Jupiter direct. It's going to be big. That's later in the month. So this new moon is at 13 degrees. Don't worry about the number. It just means it's mid-sign. So it is the Aquarius decanate of Libra. And that is the Saturn decanate, if we use traditional planets, or it's the Uranus. And this is about humanity. This is the humanitarian side of Libra. This is the social justice side. This is the side that seeks fairness and justice. And it is conjunct Mars. Now people will say, oh, but Mars is in its fall in Libra. Really? There's one Mars above all. Actually, there's two, but one I really hate pissing off, and that's Libra. Because Aries is predictable. They're always reactive. Aries, Mars, easy peasy. They're direct, they're straight. But Libra Mars goes berserk when tipped off. Unhinged. Full out berserker warrior. If you've ever angered a Libra Mars, you will know. Takes a lot. They don't like to get angry. They don't like to lose their shit. But when they do, all hell breaks loose. Because it comes from a place of righteous anger. It comes from a place of usually defending others. It's usually not about self-defense. It's usually on the behest and the behalf of other people. I gave birth to somebody with Mars in Libra. With the moon conjunct. And really easy child. Really good kid. But even from a young age, if something was unfair, and not necessarily to her, if she saw someone being harmed, if she saw something that wasn't fair to other people, all bets were on her, because she wasn't gonna back down. And she's not a large person. When she was a teenager, she saw a woman being assaulted by a boyfriend or something in a parking lot in the small town we lived in, and she was with her boyfriend, who was 6'5", and she was all 5'2", and about 90 pounds, maybe 100, and She basically scared the crap out of the guy beating or attempting to beat this woman and took her bag out of the car and flung it at him, and it was full of really heavy stuff. As her boyfriend was like, I can't defend you. And the guy ran. We had a discussion about, I was proud of her for standing up and doing the right thing, but maybe not putting herself in physical harm's way was a good idea. All Mars can be self-protective, every single sign. You're probably curious about the second Mars I wouldn't want to piss off, and that would be a Pisces Mars. They're not as passive, even as they think. It's the ocean, and the ocean is a mighty force. It takes a lot, though. It takes a lot to whip that ocean up, but man, when it's up, it's something to remember, because Mars in Pisces is coming up soon. But first, Libra. First, Libra. So the new moon conjunct Mars on a collective level. That's a hell of a lot of energy. And it's going to be moving into square with Pluto, while Mercury retrograde is square with Pluto. Miscommunications can cause confrontations. There could be new aggression. Definitely see the labor movement in this, as workers are absolutely fed up with conditions. As people claim we want a free market, and I don't mean people, I mean corporations and businesses. And the people are saying we're tired of being hungry. We're tired of not knowing how we're going to pay our rent. We're tired of being overworked. And we want our quality of life. The balance needs to be struck. Pluto in Capricorn is eroding and melting the structures that do not serve anymore. It's time to evolve the systems. And this new moon, wow, that is part of the cosmic clock ticking hands to action. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Here we go. Things start to speed up. Now, I don't necessarily believe that we will have the war that so many psychics have been feeling. I think we're dealing with economics. I think we're dealing with COVID. I think we're dealing with climate change. I think there will be some violence, some aggression, physical. I think there may be scuffles. And I think there will be attempts to start what people think is war. And I think they will fail. I just do. But organizing, collective work, collaborative work is definitely under Libra. Now, for you personally, this new moon, if you are creative, collaborative, interested in social welfare, social justice, civil rights, this is your new moon. And creativity doesn't have to be the fine arts. Creativity comes into everything. It's creative self-expression. It's knowing your value and knowing your values. It's partnerships. It's commitment. Where are you putting your time? What's your quality of life? Who are the people you're hanging out with? And in order to make the most out of this new moon, you've got to shed the limiting beliefs you have around what you deserve coming back to you. Okay? If you're going to be in a mutual partnership, it has to be mutual, equal, fair. Okay? That's why I don't like the 7th house being called the house of marriage. Because traditional marriage is bondage and ownership. I'm not talking about love partnerships and life partnerships where you have two people walking side by side through life, give and take, compromise. No, I'm talking about from the medieval concept, the Greek concept, it was about, and even back to Chaldea, it was about ownership. Come into the 20th century. My great-grandmother couldn't own property as a widow. You know, my mom couldn't even get a credit card without my dad's permission in 1969, 68. Actually, I think it wasn't until the 70s. My mom signed her name Mrs. Walter Rivers. I remember I was 9 and it dawned on me and I was like, don't you have your own name? And she's like, I'm proud to be Mrs. Walter Rivers. And I was like, okay, I'm proud to be myself. Well, that's weird. I just thought it was weird to have your values sewed up in the other person so much you lost your own. That didn't make sense to me. And that's what traditional marriage is, okay? It's being attached in ownership, okay? Whereas a partnership is equal. It's mutual. It's two people in it together and complementing each other, collaborating. One has one set of skills, the other has the other set of skills. That's a partnership. It's not about ownership. And so that's important to understand, okay? And that could be a marriage. It could be a commitment. And so now, I know I have gentlemen who listen to this podcast, but I'm going to talk to the ladies for a minute. You can listen in. Okay? But if you've been socialized female, almost anywhere in the world, you have been sent the message that your value and your worth is dependent upon how you are paired with another human being. Okay? Being a single woman who's independent and capable, even if you are highly successful, will lead to thoughts of missing out because you don't have that partner or person attached to. It's not really a partner. Most single successful people are looking for a partner. And as the research shows, it's kind of hard to find because of socialization and social cultural views. And people don't unpack those, right? Both men and women don't unpack those things. We're all collectively unpacking these things more and more. Why am I on this kick? Because understanding partnership and commitment as the 7th house moves the narrative forward. It's about mutuality. It's about making those scales balance. And when you give all of yourself, asking nothing in return, when you give till your cup is empty, those scales are out of balance. Okay? Those scales are out of balance. And then it's bondage. Then it's ownership. Then it's being chattel. Okay? I knew both of my marriages were over when both of my ex-spouses, both of them, at one point in an argument, 20 years apart, said, "But you're my wife." That's when my Sag Mars was like, oh, I'm out of here. But you can't do that. I own you. And it was reflexive, and it wasn't thought, and it was said in reaction. But I knew that was a core understanding of how life was supposed to work in their minds. That the idea that I was an equal partner completely went out the window in that moment. That they said, but you're my wife. Partnership isn't about ownership. It's about balance and mutuality. Now, things aren't always going to be perfectly balanced. Sometimes they wobble, sometimes it swings high and low. But the goal with Libra energy is to have it strike the balance. So, this new moon, conjunct Mars, is where can you strike the balance in your own goals when it comes to creativity, art, social justice. Where is it fair for you? What would be fair for you? What would be pleasant for you? How could you value what you do or who you are more? What do you want? What do you want to achieve? And where is Libra in your natal chart? Right? Where is Libra in your natal chart? If you're a patron, you can go to the December 10th post. You'll have to scroll down a lot. You can go to the December 10th post and watch the intro to the natal chart if you've never made your natal chart before. It'll walk you through identifying what's in there. And you can find out the house that Libra is in. And if you're a patron, you can ask me questions in the Discord. Okay? You also have access to the Astro Guide, the Ultimate Cheat Sheet. And in that is the story of the houses. And each of the houses is explained. It's pretty simple. So this is about looking for it in your chart. So if it's in the first house, it's about identity. If it's in the second house, it's about security. If it's in the third house, this new moon is all about communication and probably transportation. It could be a new computer, or it could be a car, or it could be how you want to communicate or write or speak. The fourth house is about your home, your physical home and family. But most likely your physical house or where you want to live. The fifth house is about creativity itself and creative self-expression, whether it's your artwork or your music or your dancing or performance. However you create in the world. Could be about your kids. Might be a good day to buy a lottery ticket. Same with the second house. The sixth house is about work, health, and service. So your workaday life, you might be looking at getting a new job, starting a new business. Seventh house is about how you commit. It's about that partnership. And it's about, it could be a best friend, it could be a platonic friend. It's close commitments, not just marriage. It could be a business partner. Eighth house. Eighth house is about shared resources, magic, intuitive capacities, translating the mysteries into new understandings. You might be doing more intuitive work, reading tarot. You might be making intuitive art. Who knows? Ninth house is adventure. It's expanding experiences. It's communicating your beliefs. It's about teaching, sharing your wisdom, gaining wisdom, maybe going to school. The 10th house is your calling. Okay, 6th house is your daily bread. It's how you make your living. 10th house is your calling. You never retire from a calling, but it's how you are in your power. It's your leadership ability. The 11th house is community, friendship, inspiration. And the 12th house is your faith, how you're connected or disconnected to the all that is. Another place where intuition lies, your dreams. A little different than the 11th house, hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Those are goals. 12th house is your actual dreams when you're asleep, your connection to spirit, source. It can also be anxiety. But I would put my focus on the positive side with this new moon, regardless of the house. You want to get clear about what you want. This is a time to be ambitious. You want to be clear about the type of support you need to reach your goals. And just wishing for more money isn't going to get you it. That is not how it works. You want to have a clear understanding of what's important to you. Story time. So I had to get a new car. I looked for over a month. I looked online. I looked at all different kinds of cars. I'm not a car person. It's really funny. I love to drive, but I am not a car person. Like, I couldn't care less about what brand it is. I want it to be affordable. I want it to be reliable. I want it to be good gas mileage. Especially right now, because inflation's just gonna skyrocket. So I wanted good gas mileage. I wanted it to be relatively new. I hadn't made up my mind if I wanted a new or used car yet. And the last, I don't know, since what, 2008? No, it would have been, 2006, I think it was. We got a Yaris. Maybe it was 2007. We got a Yaris, and no, it was 2008. I had to go back and think, because we got the minivan in 2009. Needed an economy car. I was driving more, and the minivan was great for taekwondo runs into town and ferrying kids, to and fro. But for the trips I was taking, because I was driving a lot to teach classes, I really needed an economy car, and then gas prices just shot up right after we bought the Yaris. So I was used to economy cars, and before the last car I had went kaput in a really weird way. I don't even want to talk about it. It was bizarre. I got a Prius C because it was an economy car. I was used to driving economy cars, and it's what I could buy. It was a certified pre-owned, and it was okay. And I got screwed on the deal, and I was okay getting screwed on the deal. I was never really fond of the car. Not like I wanted it to meet an untimely demise, though, even though I had barely driven it because I bought it in February of 2020. But it was never a real fit, and it never felt like it fit. And so it was really interesting that it went away. And so I spent a month looking and thinking, and my boyfriend took me a couple weeks back. He took me to CarMax just to go look at cars. He's like, you got to go look. And I was like, okay, I'll go look. And he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. Reliable, decent condition, not ugly, and good gas mileage. And he's like, that's a lot of different cars. And I'm like, well, I'll know when I see it, I guess. And he was like, that's not how it's done. And I was like, I'll know. I just gotta look at stuff. And I drove him nuts because he has an Aries moon and I have a Libra moon. And so he knows. He's really decisive. And in fact, it could even be the wrong thing, but he's made up his mind, and that's it, you know. So I was like, you know, we walked around the car lot, and I got a picture of things, and suddenly what I wanted started to change, you know, because I've always, for the last long time, have been with economy cars, you know, little zippy cars. But I was liking the crossovers, the little SUV crossovers, you know, they're just about the size of a sedan, and they're kind of comfy, but I wanted something with good gas mileage, and I wasn't really seeing what I wanted there. So, and then the prices on the used cars, when I went to look at new cars, weren't that different. I mean, not really. I was like, man, I'm going to have to finance this thing anyway. And if I'm going to finance it, I might as well get something I really like. So I asked his opinion, and he's like, well, you've got to make the decision. I'm like, well, I know, but I'm just thinking, you know, when I look at the new car, there's a better deal on the financing, and, you know, I might as well get something I really like. So we went to the dealer, and I test drove this car I'd seen called a Kia Niro. We initially went to the dealer to look at the sedan, but it was really ugly. I didn't like it. I was like, it just didn't inspire me. It didn't have the gas mileage. But the Kia Niro was really cute, and I went over to look at it, and I saw that it got 50 miles per gallon gas mileage. Average. I'm like, hell, that's really good. And it was a cute design. And I asked to test drive it, and I did. And it drove like a dream. It was like made for me. I was like, holy crap, I love this car. And I didn't have the check yet from the insurance, so I couldn't buy it. I would have bought it that day, but I just didn't have everything. And this Monday, we went to go, and I grabbed the last one within a 60-mile radius. It was nuts. But once I got in that car and I test drove it, I knew. See, I weighed and measured and looked and looked and looked again at everything and looked at prices. And I don't care about doohickeys or leather seats. I couldn't care less. I have a dog and I go on road trips, and I live by myself. And yeah, I have a boyfriend, but it's not like he's going to be in my car much. So it was like, oh, okay, here we go. When it comes to Libra energy and understanding your value and your value system and what you like and don't like, you can't just be up in your head about it. You kind of have to try things out. And so many times, you don't even try. You know, if I hadn't test driven the car, I wouldn't have even known I liked it. I would go, it's cute, but I don't know. Until I got behind the wheel, I couldn't know. You know, I knew what a sedan was like, and I knew what, you know, I would have test driven other stuff. You know, I would have gone into the sedans and the hatchbacks because, you know, I've driven those a lot in my life, and I want a little bit of acceleration. I like that. I like zip. That was one thing about the Prius C that I didn't like. You really had to hit that gas pedal to get any kind of speed going, which really sucks when you're on the freeway. Makes merging just, ugh. Now, this car, woohoo, it's got torque. But I wouldn't have known if I just read through stuff. I had to experience it. So a lot of times you don't know what you want because you're just either going off of what other people say to want, or because you haven't tried it, you know. And so you could set your intentions to try things. You could set your intentions to have clarity. But right now you want to let go of the stuff in your way, right? Like I wasn't sure I wanted a bigger vehicle. because they don't get very good gas mileage in general, although this isn't very big. I was used to smaller cars. Now I have to learn how to park in this thing. I don't have very good depth perception, so it takes a minute. But I would have really, really ripped myself off if I didn't get this car. It's really cool. It's like driving a computer. It's like my two favorite things, driving and computers, all in one car. And it wasn't super expensive. It was pretty damn cool. So, I know it's a long story, but I hope it's like a metaphor for you. You know, how do you know if you want something? Like, how do you know if you want to travel? Do you really want to travel? Or do you just want the situation to change? Why are you going to school? Like, are you going to school because you're just supposed to go to school? Or is there something you really want to learn? Why do you really want to learn it? What do you want to do? You know, the degree itself doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. It's what you plan on doing with it. Like, how are you going to use it? Are you going to use it as a qualification for a job? Are you trying to learn things to create something new? What do you want out of life? You know? Why do you want that bag that's from that designer? Or why do you want to acquire that knowledge? What difference do you want to make in the world? Really? Like, do you want to make a difference in the world? Why do you want to help people? Like, why? What outcome is it? Is it because that's what good people do and that's what you've been told? Is it really a calling? Or is it a social program? Like, what would it mean to take care of yourself? What would it mean to be comfortable? What would it mean to not have to worry about paying your rent? What would that feel like? To feel ease at the end of every month instead of stressed out? What would it mean? What would it feel like? What it would be like? And you have to get clear about that stuff. You know? As you know, I'm an astrologer. I'm also a business developer. And so many times I would have clients come to me and they'd say, I want to make 6 figures. And I'd be like, okay, for what? And they'd look at me like I was nuts. And I'm like, well, what do you want to make the money for? You know, so you want to make 6 figures. What does it do for you? You know, what would you do with that money? And what's the outcome? Well, I want to buy a house. Well, where's the house? What's the house going to look like, feel like? What's it doing for you? Other than people think you just got to buy a house. You know, is it in town? Is it in the country? Do you have a property? Do you not have property? Is it a duplex and you rent out one side and there's income generation? You know, why do you want that? You know, well, I want financial freedom. Well, what does that get you? You know, people just say things, but don't know what it means. This is my Venus and Gemini talking. You can't just say stuff and not know what it means and get it. Like, what is financial freedom? I can do what I want, when I want, how I want it. But if you don't know what you want, the money won't matter. If you don't know what you want, the money won't matter. So, I want to feel at ease. I want to have options. I want to be able to just write a check when I need to. I like being able to help my kids. I like being able to cover an emergency. I like being able to help out a friend. It feels good. I like being able to hire people who are talented and help me achieve my goals. And I know I'm helping them achieve theirs. That's what money does for me. I like the options I get. I like that I don't have to do anything with those options. But I can if I want. That's what it does for me. I know what I want to achieve. I want to build a network where people can learn and grow and come together, build their visions, whether they're working cooperatively with other like-minded, like-hearted people, or they're starting solo ventures but need a community around them. I have the system. I created it a long time ago. I get my doctorate because of it. I don't want the doctorate anymore. I don't think it's that important. But I think that community is. And I think we're going to need it more than ever. And I understand now why it didn't take off every time I tried to get it going. Because it wasn't time. Man, it was frustrating. But that new moon happens on my progressed midhaven. And when I realized that, I went, oh, wow. I know exactly what intentions I'm going to set. Getting crystal clear means you got to let go of the stuff in the way, because just 2 hours after that new moon forms, Pluto stations direct. And the moon and Mars will be conjunct at 14 degrees, which then puts them in square to Pluto. And it is the perfect time to allow the friction and the frustration of social cultural programming, the beliefs that are in our way where we don't think we're big enough, strong enough, funded enough to make a difference. And we let those beliefs fall. Pluto will be stationed. It means it's neither moving backwards nor forwards. It's a powerful moment. And it's an excellent time to release limitations. Those things where you don't think you're enough, or that it would be selfish to be ambitious. If your ambitions include other people, how the hell is that selfish? It's not. Just not. So how do you get clear? You really think about what it would be like. You envision yourself in the moment or in the building of it. You think, what kind of help would you need? What kind of support would you need? Who would you want to work with? And you don't have to think about individuals. You can think, like, what are the qualities of the people? I like people who are creative and deep thinkers, people who give it in, people who try, people who want to grow, learners, people who are curious. I love that. I love working with people like that. But that's me. What about you? What do you want? You have 5 days to doodle and dream and feel into it. That's how you get clear. There's no magic wand. We sift and we sort and we think about it and we get frustrated and we let it go. We take a walk. We jump up and down. We play a video game. We watch some TikToks. And we let ourselves become inspired. And it's always okay to set an intention of clarity with all the other intentions. Like, I know this is the big vision and I want clarity on the details, and my intention is that the clarity on the details will come to me with ease and grace. And you can write these down and put them under your pillow and go to sleep on the night before, on the evening of the 5th, or you can spend the day of the 6th writing down inspirations. But from now until then, anytime unhelpful thoughts pop up, like who am I to do that? Or does anybody even listen anyway? Or does anybody care? Or does anybody, I don't know, I work so hard and I never get anywhere. Or nobody listens to me and they always shut me out and I never get as much as I put in. All those thoughts. I'm a doormat or I'm a punching bag or whatever it is. All those thoughts that people dump on me, or I'm always helping and nobody's ever helping me. Nobody ever supports me. Those are all really shitty thoughts, and stop it. They don't help you. This is how you deal with them. You release them. You say, I see you. I see you. You know, you kept me safe just once, and I let you form a pattern. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. You did your job. And now I need to think a new thought. And a better thought would be XYZ. Like, well, I know I didn't get very good help in the past, but I can get good help now. Or, well, yeah, those people let me down, but these people have always been there for me. You know, reframe the thoughts. Take back your power. That's how you make room for the intentions that you're going to set on the 6th. As always, my ultimate gratitude goes to my patrons. Without you, this podcast doesn't happen. And it is always appreciated. So let's do our shout outs here. We've really grown. I want to thank Rosalie Wetzel, Jordan Ecclefield, Courtney Clark, Alexis, Susie Boyles, Laura, Catherine, Andrea Finch, Luis Sandoval, I think it's Eli Dominguez. I have just butchered that name. Sorry, Eli or Ellie, Kayla, Rebecca, Christina, Scarlett, Cynthia, Stacy, Kimberly, Kara, Alexandra, Jacqueline, Megan, Kim, Ivy, RBF Champion, Shelby or Shelley, Tanya, Laura. Big shout out once again to Casey, who is my writing partner these days, and to and editing for me, Chris, who is absolute, and to my wonderful Kathy, also known as Sister Luck 11. If you see Casey, Sister Luck, our absolute, in the forum, say hello. This is in the Discord chat. If you're a patron, you get to be in Discord. Let's see, Momstar has been active. PB Gelatin. Let's see. Dusty, 1917. Everybody's been active. The memeage has been fabulous, by the way. It's been really funny. We've got some good memes. McDubs, as always. We've got some new people. We've got EMP, ZDZ. We've got Magic has been out of reach, but she has been missed, absolutely. We've got Awesome Tanya, Lizia, Rachel, Z-Buzz, ZBUX99, Katie, Rita, Cindy. It's just been so good to have everybody in the forum. Don't forget, we have Sunday link up days where if you are a patron and you have social media want to share, or an online store, or just to connect, put your links in the Sunday link up forum on Sunday, which is the 3rd. But once again, my forever gratitude to all of you guys, and your meme action and the news headlines. Oh my God, you guys really show where the predictions have been on. Really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. And up next, we're going to talk just a little bit about what is going to be coming up in the future and some ideas I've got coming up for this month of October. Don't forget to put your seatbelt on. All right. So this month is really, really fast energy. And we can hop on our surfboard to ride the cosmic tide, to surf this cosmic tide, I should say. And I'm planning on surfing it. Hope I don't wipe out too many times. But, you just get back on the board, right? Well, I gotta remember to put in for that Google Play thing, and then the app can get going. It's not an app like an astrology app. It's my website as an app. So it's super easy, and you'll be able to get the horoscopes if you're a subscriber there. If not, Patreon has its horoscopes as well. I'm going to be changing up how I do horoscopes so that they're a little bit different in both places. We'll see how that goes. I would like to be able to slide the horoscopes all the way onto the website and not do them on Patreon. Don't change your memberships just yet. Until I get the coupons from Wix, I can't do it. They haven't enabled that yet. We'll be getting some spiritual business training going for you guys. Long ago, far away, in another reality, another galaxy, a long time ago, like 2005. I asked the questions, what if the good guys made money? What if the really spiritually minded, good-hearted folks actually were empowered on what would happen? Which means we have to unpack a lot of the beliefs we have around money and business, and most people have really crappy ideas about it because what has been the status quo is stuff we don't abide by. We don't like it, We were also trained to be disenfranchised from the economy, to take yourself out of the world. But what if the good guys did well and helped other people? What if they learned how to form collaborative ventures? What if they learned how to support each other? And I think we're closer than ever. I just see the amount of support that's out there for one another. And it's good. And so I have all of the system developed, practiced case studies that helps people with a process that helps you gently find out what's important to you, really get that clarity that I was talking about in the new moon, and form things. So I'm going to be getting that kind of redone. I'm going to keep the name Align Network International because I think it's a great name. And the process itself, we call it Annie. And we used to do weekly meetings. I think we'll make it monthly and see how it goes. It's better weekly, but most people can't commit to weekly. So we'll go with monthly and see if people want more. I've got leaders who are trained in this, who can do it, and it's my material, and it's all very simple, very short, and process-oriented. And for people who are already geared up and going with brick and mortar or more established businesses, then I'll have some business readings coming soon. I've been getting requests, so the requests have been heard. I will be getting those listed soon on the site. There'll be some recorded classes coming up as well. And then I was thinking we would do the 2022 overview in November and maybe early December, end of November. After Thanksgiving or first week of December, I'll host a special seminar, and then we'll start some new astrology classes up in the new year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So For right now, if you want to prep for fall and January, February, you can access the recording on my website of the last seminar. It's a 2-hour seminar. And if you are wanting to learn how to read your birth chart, that recorded course is in my website, How to Read Your Birth Chart. And we are meeting twice a month for me to answer your questions. So even though it's a recorded course, you still get to meet live with me to ask questions twice a month. All right. So that's the story, Morning Glory. October is a wild month. I will try to get as many podcast episodes in as possible. I want to thank those of you who told me you wanted more. So here's more. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be in my service. And I appreciate you. And I hope you appreciate yourself. Talk to you next time.